Hey, all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and today I'm joined by Dan Price once again. How you doing, Dan?
I am great, Frank. Thanks so much for having me here this evening.
Absolutely. You are the creator of Bigfoot Knows Karate, writer and artist, correct?
I am the artist and I'm the co-writer.
Co-writer, that's right.
So I'm the creator of the comic. I do the artwork and then I share the writing duties with Casey Allen, who's also my editor on the project as well. And it's an awesome working dynamic for sure.
Yeah. We've talked before about, what is Bigfoot Knows Karate and stuff like that, and it's a fantastic book. The artwork is stunning. It's always that, it feels like that watercolor and it matches. I love how it's not just in the panels, it goes from margin to margin all the way to the edge. But working with Casey, how did you guys meet?
We met in something called the Comic Jam. The Comic Jam is an online workshop for indie comic creators. So what they do is they get a theme each week, and then that theme is they vote on a theme, and then the writers have 1 week to write a one-page script, no more than 6 panels. And
Hmm.
that script, all those scripts are then, just randomly given to artists who have 1 month to draw a one-page comic, no more, their that script, and so it's a random draw on who you're going to get. Casey happens to be the one of the guys who heads up the Comic Jam, and I don't know who found who. I think I found them, and I was like, hey, and I hadn't been drawing comics in several years, and I thought this was just a really cool thing, and so I asked if I could come play with them for a little while, and they welcomed me with open arms, which was totally cool. And I got the first thing I did was something called Space Sharks, and the story was called Circling, but the theme was space sharks, and so I
Hmm.
got to do this really killer thing about sharks in space, and and there's this mutiny on the ship, and it's this whole thing, and I gave the sharks lasers, and because if you're gonna have sharks, it's gotta have
Right.
freaking laser beams, just like
Of
an Austin
course.
Powers movie, right?
Right.
And and so I said to, and so Casey and I started talking after that. He liked the piece, and we just got to talking,
Hmm.
and it turned into, now here we are, like 4 years later, and we probably talk 4 days a week,
Oh wow.
for 15 minutes, probably at least in a day, because we talk about the comic, or, what's going on with my life or his life, his kids, or whatever we're dealing with, home repair projects. He's always got one of those going.
Yeah.
And so we just became buddies. I mean, we got to work on something at the Jam together, which was like a Steve Ditko tribute piece when Steve Ditko passed away, and it was a heartwarming piece that he wrote, and I got really into it because I got to draw in the style of Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby to do it, and
Yeah.
which I never could really do that, but it was nice. It was nice to attempt it anyway, and we just hit it off. And when I started doodling Bigfoot Knows Karate, he was one of the people who was pushing me to make a story out of it, not just something that I've been posting on Instagram randomly.
Yeah.
So, and he's kind of like the backbone of this thing. He keeps me sane in the process, and never stresses out, which is perfect for me because I'm all stressed all the time.
Yeah.
So,
You need that to be able to collaborate.
oh
Somebody to
yeah.
balance each
Oh,
other
he's
out.
he's like the Valium of the relationship, I mean, just brings it on down. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So, do you guys live near each other, or is it all remote communications?
all remote communications. Never met him face to face ever. He lives out in Alabama. I live in Austin, Texas, and so it is. We Zoom sometimes on
Yeah.
Saturday mornings. We'll wake up at like 7 a.m. and we'll Zoom for a couple hours and go over things and that sort of deal. But one day we'll get to hang out. It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. It's amazing. Try to explain that to a different generation where it's like I've got buddies that I've known for 12, 15 years now, and it's like, yeah, it used to be Vent, now it's Zoom, like Discord and stuff like that. We
Hmm.
collaborate this way now. Um, when you guys are working together and you guys are trying to form this story, what does that look like? Is it something where like you come up with an idea, bring it to him, and he changes it, or you just sit there and talk it out?
So how it originally began was, I, how it originally began was this. I had all these notes for basically what has turned into a 5 issue arc
Hmm.
of what the comic, of a outline of what it was going to be, kind of. Okay, like, I mean, I had scenes written here or ideas for characters there, and what Casey did was he took that and like put a framework to it, really, for issue one, really set the beats. Like the first like 8 pages of issue one was me just like a proof of concept, showing
Mhm.
that I could actually kind of put this together and make it work. And then, Casey really ran with it from, putting in different scenes into the first issue, like working on all the Unreal stuff and the big fight scene with Kung Fu Thulu. And Kung Fu Thulu, that was Casey's name for a character.
Oh wow,
I
that's a
mean,
good name.
he's like, he needs a big bad Kung Fu Thulu. And I said, and the next day I had sketches drawn and we were off to the races with that. And so originally he just wanted to be an editor, but he was contributing so much that it was like, you just co-write this. And I
Yeah.
know that's an odd thing to do because not a lot of people do co-writing in comics, but we've seemed to make it work in a pretty good way. In issue two, he's got had a lot more freedom to write than he did in issue one because so much of it was already kind of set up
Hmm.
but like he did a great job with what he did with issue one. I'm not downplaying it. It was incredible. But he has more room to breathe on this one. And then on the side book that we're doing with Adam Caswell, one of our cover artists, Casey's really getting the horn or getting to the reins on that and getting to lead that thing. So I mean that's more of a written by Casey Allen and Dan Price rather than a Dan Price and Casey Allen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
Yeah.
he's uh he's bringing it. In fact, so I mean it's really exciting working with him, and I know that he's had a blast doing it. Getting to play with the characters and just kind of the character sets of what we deal with. I mean, it started as a very small uh, piece when it first started, and then is kind of the story blew up by the end of the first issue. It got real big,
Yeah.
real fast, and and so he's getting to play with that world now that we've created, and the backstory of those characters, and so you know people have said to me, well, is it like a zero issue that y'all are doing the side book? Or is it a prequel? Yeah, it's a prequel, but it's not the prequel. It's going to be a prequel,
Right.
because there's characters. Bigfoot has lived a long time, and we're going to get to play with that world that he's lived in for so long. And so I'm excited to, so like the storyline that we're doing, the 5 issue arc right now, that is like the main through point. And then the side stories are going to be things that are one-off adventures, that give information on what's going on in the first book, but are in the main line. But if you don't read it, it's not a big deal. You can just read the
Hmm.
main story. But I think people are going to want to read it because we're going to do some really nifty shit with it. Pardon my language, Frank.
Oh, you're good.
So
You're good.
yeah,
Yeah. Speaking of Adam, we were just talking about him before we started
yeah,
recording. Can you kind of touch on how you guys found Adam? Because it's super cool.
yeah. Oh, Adam Caswell is he's a badass.
Yeah.
We met over Instagram. In the first campaign, we received a lot of fan art. People got really into it, and Adam was one of the people who contributed fan art. And it started off with he said, "I'm going to draw Kung Fu Thulu," and he starts drawing this, these the figure, and then he throws these big eels into it, and like he's sending me pictures as he's going,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden this masterpiece was on a page. He's sending me photos of it. So that's incredible, man. He goes, well, I'm going to mail it to you. I love Bigfoot Knows Karate. I love Kung Fu Thulu. I love what you guys are doing. I'm really excited about the comic and I want to be a part of it, or just, put some art into the thing.
Right. Right.
And so he mailed me the artwork. I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. And so I said, man, I can't just accept this. I
Hmm.
mean, I was happy to have it. It's right there.
Yeah.
I was happy to have it, but like, I mean, that's a big gift.
Hmm.
That must be hours. I mean, 20 hours of work at least minimum in that drawing.
Right.
And I said to him, how about this? How about I don't just take this as a gift? How about I pay you for the artwork? We run it as the variant cover of our deluxe edition of Bigfoot issue one, and so that's what we did, and the cover was amazing. In fact, it actually won Comic Wellspring's Master of the Comic Book Cover contest.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a vote. I don't. It was a vote by on over social media on their website and all of that, and yeah, we. I mean, there were some amazing covers, and Adam just came out triumphant. So pretty cool. And
That's
so now
amazing.
he's going to be doing a wraparound cover on chapter two, which is you've seen it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's mind blowing, and the detail in it is incredible,
Oh,
and it's pretty rad. So looking forward to working with him on the side book with Casey, because Adam's gonna be doing the side book, all the interior artwork on that. It's just turned into a really cool friendship. You know, he's
yeah.
up in northern Maine, Casey's in Alabama, I'm in Austin, and so actually I'm going to hang out with Adam in the end of October at Baltimore Comic Con. So hey, anybody
There we
listening,
go.
if you're in Baltimore, come out to Baltimore Comic Con, 28 October 28th through the 30th. I'll be hanging out with Adam Caswell at the show.
There we go. Bonus credit if you come in a Bigfoot costume. Just saying. There you go.
Yeah, you come
Cosplay
out
it
in a
up.
Bigfoot costume. If you come up in a Bigfoot knows karate costume, I'll tell you what, I'll give you one of everything on my table.
There we
Okay.
go. That's a
All
deal. Oh
right.
my god.
That's the deal. That's easy.
That's really cool. I'm looking at it right now. Adam's next. Is this going to be available like on the Kickstarter when people see?
Oh
Can people
yeah,
take a peek at this?
this is gonna be a variant
Good.
on the deluxe edition again. So
Take a look at it, folks. You're gonna want to see that for sure. Really cool covers all around. All right, let's start talking more about Bigfoot Knows Karate.
sure.
Some of the stuff we talked about last time, I wanted to bring up again. The fact that it does start so small. It's just character that's alone in a forest who's showing sympathy for a little rabbit. I mean, I'm rooting for this little rabbit all of a sudden, and suddenly we're expanding quickly and literally at some points with Bigfoot Knows Karate. So, uh, you're the comic book we talked about how that's expanding. The world. Do you plan on expanding this world as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the we're gonna meet a lot of crazy characters in the book. Sinister, violent, fear-inducing characters.
Yeah.
We got you got a glimpse into a little bit of them in the last issue. There was a mysterious man in black named Grisha. And
Grisha. Okay.
Grisha was, his name was only mentioned once, and the name is Hungarian. I believe no, I believe it's. I'm losing it right now. I believe it's Hungarian Hungarian,
Okay.
and it's the character is he was just had a small scene. Last few pages. He was in the last few pages of the book, manhandled Bigfoot without even touching him.
Right. Yeah.
And and then stabbed him right in the back with a very odd dagger, and then I won't go any further for anybody who hasn't read the book
Of
yet,
course.
but we're going to get a good glimpse into Grisha. Starting to peel back that onion a little bit. Peel back
Yeah.
those layers on the story. We made you ask a lot of questions at the end of issue one,
Hmm.
and so we're going to start answering a little bit of that as we go. But there's between Grisha and then other cryptids and kaiju and things that we're going to be meeting throughout the story. Um, I will say there is a chupacabra with a shotgun that's going to be hanging out this
Yep.
issue, and I love him. I love him so
Oh man.
much. He's a cool character, and there's another character that chupacabra does battle with in the book, and it's Thermonucleadon. And
Yeah.
Thermonucleadon is a kaiju with missiles, like nuclear missiles, just growing right out of his body. And they have an odd relationship between the two of them. So that'll be interesting how that plays out. So many other characters that we're going to be meeting. If you saw Zip's cover, there's a young lady on the
Yeah.
cover. I'm not going to go into details about her right now, but I'm excited to see how she works with Bigfoot or does not work with Bigfoot, or how that situation goes down. So I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited about where we're going.
Every new character we meet through covers or even through the first book, you're definitely hoping to find more, even about Kung Fu Thulu. I want to know more about him in some way.
Hmm.
Not going to give any spoilers, but I would like to learn more about him somehow. Um,
Sure.
and then when you're looking at all these covers too, you're like, I mean, you're talking buzz terms right there when you're saying, what was the term for it? Gosh dang it, cryptids and kaiju. I mean, you're talking
Kaiju.
about, yeah. You're like, okay, yeah, these are all HBO worthy words. I want to know what's going on here, and so you're building a world where they interact with each other. Of course, we want to see it expand, and I'm looking forward to it. Do you want to talk a little bit about Asterion? What was it? It's the Minotaur.
Asterion.
Asterion.
Asterion is the Minotaur that's on the Adam Caswell cover. I'm gonna hold back on that.
Okay,
Actually, I'm
cool,
gonna
cool,
hold
cool,
back
cool.
on that. So
Check out the cover, guys. You're going to be wanting to ask your own questions on that for sure. Going from this story, we have kind of we're not going to go about spoilers at all, of course, but we see that with Grisha, there's also a bigger, powerful thing behind him. He's got a crew. He's not walking in alone, and
No.
so are we going to be getting factions pretty soon? Are we looking at getting some factions where it's not just Bigfoot knows karate by himself, or is it the Bigfoot clan? What are we talking here?
Um, Man, you asked the tough
And
questions,
you're not
don't you?
giving nothing up,
I
so
know I'm a tight ass on this shit. So, no. Okay, so I think yes, you're gonna see some groups working together.
cool, cool.
Uh, Look, our man has been alone for a long time.
Yeah,
Okay, and I think I probably said this in the last time we were on, but if you were the only one of your species, you were the only one of your kind, and nobody knew you existed, and nobody knew that you even mattered, what would that do to your psyche and what would that do
right.
to your soul?
That's a good
Now,
point.
take that character and where he landed at the end of issue one. What's better, to be surrounded by no one, or to be surrounded by enemies?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You
Yeah.
know, and so he's in a world of hell right now,
Hmm.
and it's not gonna be an easy road for the character. And we learned a lot about him in a way in the last issue. We know that
Yeah.
there's something bigger going on. We know his name. I mean, we did get his name in the issue, and so that was interesting too. And so all these people who are on a first name basis with that, he doesn't really understand what's happening. It's pretty interesting concept. It's a pretty interesting situation that we've dropped him into. He's very much a fish out of water.
Yeah. And hopefully, he'll build allies along the way and stuff like that, and then we'll start to see
Hmm.
the powers at play. There's definitely more people at play. Again, go check out issue one. I'm sure that there's going to be one of the options. You'll get issue one with it. I'm assuming,
Yep.
right?
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, there'll be a physical and a digital catch up.
Okay.
But if you are, well, we're going to be listening to this after we launch, but maybe if no, probably, you know what, cut this part out because we're not
Yeah.
going to, because I'm not going to, but no, it's free on Global Comics right now, but I'm going to stop it about a week before the campaign. So
Okay.
sorry, I got thrown off with my timeline.
Yeah, that's all good. So I'll cut that out. Okay. Let me make sure to note that.
Cool thing.
Okay. So we go over the story, but it's hard because we don't want to spoil anything. So that's narrowing things down a little on that.
Yeah,
Um,
no, and sorry if I'm being tough.
no, that's perfect. The mystery is what's going to get people out there.
Right.
That's what perfect. Um, okay, so uh, let's go into the campaign itself. All right, so we have the campaign that's out. It came out 2 days before we're releasing this episode. What are something unique that you're bringing to the campaign tiers? Because there's always something a little neat out there for people to grab.
This one's a lean and mean campaign. We're
Yeah.
it's going to be very book heavy. But the thing that we did the last time and that people really jumped on, and we're going to do again this issue, is going to be the director's commentary. We did that last go
Yeah.
around, and that was a big hit. So we're bringing that back. I mean, look, everybody said I've never seen that before. That's super cool, and yeah, so we're going to do that again. So it will have the regular edition of the book, and we're going to have the deluxe edition of the book as well, and that'll be an expanded issue that has extra drawings, by myself, by Adam, by Dennis Valencia is going to have something in there. The What is it? Luis Tomas is going to have some work in there as well. So we're gonna feature some extra artwork in there that will be pretty cool. And you know what? I got a couple of things that I'm not going to mention yet
Okay.
because it is, the mystery.
Of course.
But we're going to have some cool little things within the book that are going to be pretty neat. And I am also highly, well, no, by the time this comes out, so I'll just commit to it now. There will be either a foil or a holographic
Nice.
cover, something like that. So I'm still working that part. Listen, guys, y'all are listening to this later than we're recording it. So there's a couple things I'm still working out because we're about 3 weeks away. So I got a little time still.
Hmm.
But there's going to be one really cool chase cover in there that's going to be badass.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
little limited edition action.
Yeah. I want to throw in a little extra too, guys. All of the comic book creators we interview are all talented and amazing and dedicated. I gotta tell you, go follow Dan Price's Bigfoot Knows Karate Twitter account. Just because you post so much, like the fan art and the work in progress, and
Mhm.
it's just so cool. I mean, this art. Where did you develop this art style? Is this something just you just kept working over time?
So the art style really came with the comic. Well, okay, I did some illustration for children's books,
Okay.
for several years, and the kind of the brushiness came from a children's book that I did for a writer out of Colorado, and then the kind of the other action of like that was for backgrounds and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
but the look of the characters and the brushiness and the kind of the grunchiness came from a book that I worked on for Drew Edwards' Halloween Man.
Hmm.
That's where I kind of first played with that in a comic book, and I wanted this to look I wanted it to look kinetic, but I wanted it to look organic and brushy and grungy and just have the vibe of like martial arts in motion. You know what I mean? I wanted
Yes.
it to
Ooh,
feel like
nice.
I wanted it to feel like an old school martial arts book or
Yeah.
a movie,
Movie.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to have some of that vibe because I mean, I liken this book to Godzilla versus Kong meets Kill Bill meets Lost. Okay, and so that's an odd combination, and you know what? So were my parents, but no, I'm kidding. But that's an odd combination,
Yeah.
but this book is not what Marvel and DC are putting out. It's not what you're
No.
going to find on the in the big
They
two
wouldn't take
racks.
chances like this. This is something unique. Yeah.
And that's what indie comics are for,
Yeah.
and now I'm going to go on a soapbox. That's what indie comics are for.
Yeah.
We are the ones who are coming up with the new ideas. There's a bunch of indie comics out there. We all know it. And there's some
Mhm.
that kind of follow into the groove of what the big two do. Mazel tov, enjoy yourselves. And then there are those who are like really taking some chances and doing some great stuff. And not that the other stuff's not great, but this is indie. We have the
Yeah.
ability to take the biggest leaps possible, and if we fall, do you know what? We stand up, we brush ourselves off, come up with another IP, and keep on going. We're in it for the love of the game,
Yeah.
and look, and I'm sure there's everybody wants, would love to get the paycheck from the big two.
Of
I
course.
love doing indie comics. That's where I want to be. When I first got into comics, as a kid, I read everything I could get my hands on in 1992 when Image popped. Though those were creators creating their own thing,
Yeah.
doing their own deal, and that was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
From that day on, I know. I mean, like if Marvel and DC said, "Hey, Dan, we'd love you to do something," I have one project that Marvel could possibly offer me, and they never will because it's not
You
even a book that they actually do.
okay?
It's a Disney movie called Condor Man from the early '80s,
Oh
and they
wow.
made it. Yeah, and there was a movie about a comic book creator who had a comic book and that he would do all the things that the character could do or he wouldn't put
Mhm.
it in the book, so he flew around with giant wings and it was ridiculous. He had a car
Wow.
that
Yeah.
turned into a
That,
boat.
that
It
would
was
be a
so
good comic book though.
right. And so if they would let me write a 3-issue miniseries, Marvel would let me do that, or the Mouse, or whoever. I'd jump on that chance. Other than that, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I love indie comics, because I love making things like Bigfoot knows karate. I just got done doing a book with Drew Edwards, Halloween Man. We did a Halloween Man meets Latex Avenger crossover special.
Oh yeah.
And so I mean, if I get to make characters about big feet doing martial arts, or an asshole superhero who wears a rubber on his head and hangs out with a kid named Spermicidal Foam Lad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I like to be. That's my fun place. And my wife said to me when I got back into making comics, can't do it unless it's fun. So
Good rule to have
there you
right
go.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, just like the dedication that the indie creators have, so do the indie fans.
Oh
And
yeah.
you see, like, it's so much more focused to the fandom, and I just love that about it. It's fun to be a part of.
Dude, let me tell you something. People on Instagram and Twitter have just been phenomenal about this project. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, they don't know me from Adam. They don't, we're not, not Adam Caswell, not Adam Caswell, but they don't
Yeah.
know me from anyone. And
Right.
the fact that they've taken their time to pick up the comic, or follow, share, tweet, comment, like, whatever, and draw fan art, send me DMs just saying, man, I love your book. We have it. We had the comic on Global Comics. and just all the we had 4,000 views on Global Comics already.
That's so cool.
I mean, that's awesome. And I mean, I'm not this is not toot your own horn thing, but but right now, I mean, we've been on Global Comics since the end of this, the end of July or something like that, or end of June, and it's the eighth most popular comic on Global Comics right now
I'm just
for
not
the
surprised at
year.
all, really.
For the
When
year,
you
I
see
mean,
the art, of course you're gonna read this. Yeah,
I mean,
that's so
like,
cool though.
so everybody
It's about a
who
year ago.
is, yeah, so everybody who has backed and supported and just been kind about the project, I'm humbled. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm literally humbled, and I'm floored that anybody would take the time to read the book, let alone be supportive and back it, and you know what I'm saying. It's
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
nice. It's really nice. Um, yeah, I consider myself a really lucky guy on this one.
Well, as the fans, as one of them, I can't tell you guys enough times. Please go check this out. We're gonna have all the links in the description as we usually do, but I want to reiterate: please go follow them on the social medias as well, because then you really get to see the fandom at work and just everything happening. And then yeah, pick yourself up a copy. Why not, guys? It's totally worth the read. The artwork is eye catching. The story just has you asking so much more. I tell you, I've got more questions that we have to ask later on. But please go check this out. Thank you very much for joining me today, Dan.
Hey, Frank, thanks so much for having me, dude. I really do appreciate it.
Anytime. All right, guys. We will see you guys next week. Bye.